Hello everyone, I'm Nnamdi Odigbo. We're live in Abuja and this is the Ballot. I trust your day has been fulfilling and I hope it gets better with the ballot, helping you to count down, of course, to election day. Tonight's program promises to be just as exciting as previous episodes, if not more. We get to talk for 1 hour tonight, and so that makes tonight's program somewhat special. I do have a couple of guests lined up for you, but I'm not letting the cat out of the bag yet, just not yet. Well, not until I bring you some of the major highlights for tonight.
The force will maintain the tempo in the ongoing special operations across the country.
Pencils over 300,000 police personnel for election duty, reiterates reassurances of safety for all. Electioneering goes nuclear for the PDP on Twitter as party stalwarts intensify campaigns. Hoping to sweep the vote into its kitty, APC woos the electorate in Ibadan. Well, now we know for a fact that the Nigerian police will deploy a total of 310,973 personnel for the forthcoming national elections. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Akali Baba, stated these while speaking on operational and tactical measures being put in place by the police and other security agencies to ensure a peaceful process.
To mitigate these threats, the force will maintain the tempo in the ongoing special operations across the country with intent to sustain the current relatively stable internal security order, particularly in troubled areas in the northeast, southeast, etc. 2, deepen intelligence activities to proactively respond to threats wherever it may occur. 3, continue to synergize with the military, the intelligence community, and all other security agencies towards presenting a common front in the election security governance plan. It is my belief and conviction that the Nigerian military, the Nigerian police, and all other security agencies will collectively collaborate, synergize, and cooperate in policing the 2023 general election in order to ensure that a free, fair, and credible election takes place in Nigeria.
If you're still in denial about media influencing politics, then maybe you need a good look at how politicians and their parties are utilizing the social media for campaigns. The People's Democratic Party appears quite smooth, navigating its way around these streets with its chieftain, some elderly but clearly young at heart, swift with dropping those tweets. The 2023 elections have demonstrated how political social media matters and why they would always trend. We do wish the PDP well with its campaigns to win supporters from the streets of social media, but let's not forget that other political parties are just as vibrant. And today in the historic city of Ibadan, or your state's capital, culture, tradition, and politics all blended as the presidential campaign train of the All Progressives Congress touched ground with a message of renewed hope. The party's candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, must have felt at home amongst the mammoth crowd of supporters whose chants echoed some of what played out in previous southwestern states where the APC had visited. there's a popular colloquial way.
Today is a new day for the preparation of a new person, a new president that is coming very, very soon. That is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Meanwhile, we'll hear that the wife of the APC presidential candidate, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is now setting a sight on fostering inclusiveness for persons with disability in next weekend's presidential election. Hosting a town hall meeting in Abuja with representatives of the disability community in attendance, Senator Oluremi Tinubu said that the APC would fuse and monitor all workable blueprints designed to ensure inclusiveness of PWDs in the coming election.
We are laboring right now to birth a Nigeria that is going to be great, because this is the government that Tinubu Shetima is going to build upon.
Well, now let's get into the main business for tonight. And my first guest represents Nigeria's main opposition party, well, at the center, of course. He's a journalist and publisher. He's the publisher CEO, that's Chief Executive Officer of Vision magazine. I should mention that he's also a businessman and motivational speaker. Tonight, he appears on the ballot as the Director of Strategic Communications for the People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council. Basharu Dele Momodu, I'd like to welcome you very much to the ballot.
Thank you and good evening.
Well, I noticed you have been up and about for your principal, during this electioneering season. I bet even you may not be able to recount the number of television interviews or appearances that you've granted this period. I have picked up one key thing from most of what you have said over time, and that is about your candidates being the most suited for the position of Nigeria's president after President Buhari's tenure, of course. You have also, among other things, based this assertion on his experience and his strength of the strength of his character. If you do not mind, let's do a quick pop quiz here. I wish you had a pencil or a pen, but I'll try and take you along as much as I could. I'll mention 5 human virtues that I think a successful leader should have, one at a time. And I would want for you to give me practical examples of how Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has demonstrated these traits over time. Number 1, discipline. Number 2, trustworthiness. 3, courage. 4, humaneness. And 5, intelligence. So let's take it from the top. Number 1, discipline.
My principal is a very, very disciplined man.
An example?
I'll tell you. I'm sure you are aware of the usual battles between the president and sometimes his vice president. And he had his own issues with his former boss. And his former boss disparaged him, said so many things about him. He never, for once, responded. That's discipline. If you look at Wike's issue, which I'm sure you are dying to ask me about, you will see he never uttered a word. He's a man who remains focused, and that is a key element of leadership. Focus. You must face where you are going.
That's discipline. 2, trustworthiness.
Very, very trustworthy.
Example.
I will give you an example. Exactly 30 years ago, I saw him for the first time at the SDP primaries in Jos. And he was contesting against Baba Gana Kingibe and Chief Moshood Abiola. And then his then boss and mentor, Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua, advised him to step down for MKO Abiola. He stepped down. He didn't throw tantrums. He didn't fight anybody. That is a trustworthy man who ensured that what his principal wanted was what he did.
Okay, so let's move on to 3, courage.
He's a man of courage. In the days of General Sani Abacha, he was one of the few politicians who had the guts to challenge the government of the day. And you remember how draconian that military government was. But despite that, it took every risk. This is a man who is very comfortable, can say to hell with Nigeria, I'm not bothered, but he placed his country above his own interests.
4, humaneness.
Oh, I mean, everybody knows about how generous a man he is and how he goes around the whole of Nigeria looking after the interests of the ordinary man.
Any particular example in mind?
Oh, I mean, there are so many. If you read even the governor of Kaduna State today, you know, who seems to be saying things against Atiku Abubakar, when you read his book,
They
you will
enjoyed
see
his benevolence.
he enjoyed his benevolence.
Okay, 5, intelligence.
Are extremely intelligent. If you sit
Also.
with him, oh yeah, if you sit with him and you discuss with him, you will see that he's a man with native intelligence. That is why he's always very calm, as cool as the cucumber. He remains unruffled. Everybody might be running helter-skelter, but he's just a man who is always very calm.
Okay, I am not going to disparage anything you've said here about these 5 traits. I will not argue that. I mean, these are your opinions, and I'll let them go. But then, let's talk about aspects of the Reset Nigeria document, which, of course, is the PDP manifesto for the presidential election. That document touts that an Atiku presidency would focus aggressively on the on reviving, or rather, should I say, the
to recover. We want to recover.
The word used is the revival of, or rather, I've forgotten the word now, but national integration. He would pursue a course of national integration. He would also look to policy reappraisals and rejuvenate, you know, national ethos, as well as promote citizen trust and commitment. But then, if you juxtapose that to some developments like ethnic and communal clashes, lack of public trust in government, corruption, militancy, not just in the Niger Delta at the time, and regional agitations, which all existed in the polity between 1999 and 2015, when the PDP lost power at the center. And you tell me why critics or opponents of the PDP should not describe aspects of the Reset Nigeria document as mere political rhetoric.
Our main messaging is to recover Nigeria. When you are sick, whether you have malaria, you have headache, whatever it is, your immediate priority is you want to recover. Because until you recover, you cannot continue to live a normal life. So, Atiku Abubakar and
not an experience anymore.
No. It's about
you're not relying on experience anymore.
No, of course we're relying on. What I'm saying is that his mission is to help Nigeria recover very fast. And how do you do that? We have the kind of division that we've never seen since the Civil War.
And I get that,
Nigeria.
And I get that completely.
Yes.
I am from the southeastern part. In my place, there's this local adage that says that the man who does not know where the rain started beating him does not know where he's headed to. If we do not know, if we do not draw from our past, we probably would not even be able to talk about the future. So when you talk about experience and you hinge a man's competence on his experience, and then we take a look at some of the issues that played out within a given period between 1999 and 2015, as a matter of fact, when the PDP was in power and all of these issues subsided, I mean, isn't there cause to worry that, look, your party has had an opportunity to correct some of these ills that, well, maybe are exacerbated right now, but they were there in your time. Nothing really changed.
Oh, that's not true. You see, also there is a Yoruba adage that if a woman has not tried 2 husbands, you may not know which one is nicer. When we had PDP, we took things for granted. We thought Nigeria was headed in the wrong direction until we now tried the second husband, and then we realized that the second husband, it will be difficult for the second husband to take care of our needs. If we were complaining of lack of money for soup. Now it is lack of money for everything in the house. So I can tell you that experience is the best teacher, and who is best to do that for us? Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, a successful businessman, a man who has managed people and resources.
Okay.
You can't give what you don't have. So that is why we are saying today we're not going to have a leader who has to experiment, who has to study things. He's ready from day one. He will be ready to hit the ground running.
Okay. So, well, but you have failed to tell me exactly how he intends to handle the issue of national integration.
Oh, it's very easy.
Okay.
He's spoken about restructuring. He has spoken about...
when you say restructuring, do you mean constitutional restructuring
yes,
or regional restructuring?
Constitutional restructuring. He's been speaking about it. He has set up his own committee on it. He knows what to do from day one. He's talked about integration. He has talked about government of national unity. Look, the next election cannot be about winner takes all. Because you have a man who understands the meaning of making use of the best hands. Nigeria is blessed with so many talents. But if you want to go strictly as a politician, you are going to fail. He's going to get the best team you can find anywhere in the world, and he's ready to assemble them.
Okay, let's quickly move along here and talk a bit about some likely factors that might impact your party's performance during the general elections. Of course, I'm talking about both at the national and sub-national levels now. I am certain that your confidence is buoyed by the performance of the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, in the 2029 elections, where I think he clinched over 2019, sorry, I beg your pardon. 2019 elections, where he clinched over 11 million votes. But certain elements, fresh elements, are now in the mix for the 2023 elections. Well, one is the emergence of formidable contenders with some level of regional affinities, as well as there's also the intra-party crisis involving the G5 governors in your party, I'm sure. And Basharu, and you are a deeply traditional man. You would know this other, it's both a saying in Igbo, Yoruba, and every other ethnic group, even in English, that a house divided against itself cannot stand. Are these new elements not enough to cause your party to worry about a likely second ballot at least, if you're not worried about losing outrightly in the first ballot?
No, there's no way we can lose. Historically, whenever you have two strong southern candidates, it is going to be difficult for either of them to defeat the mainstream northern candidate. And the mainstream northern candidate today is Atiku Abubakar. Oh, you will say, of course, you have Kwankwaso.
I was going to jump right into that.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the word history. If you go back into history, 1979, 1983, you had Awolowo from the southwest, you had Zik from the southeast, you had Chagari from the northwest, and of course in Kano, just like today, we had Madam Aminu Kano at that time, and it didn't affect. Most northerners today know that the only man who can deliver the votes to them is Atiku Abubakar. So they are not going to waste their votes, waste their energy, waste their resources on someone they know cannot win. Number two, they know that this is a man who has the capacity to lead Nigeria out of the throes of war, the indebtedness of today, because he's done it before, he has seen it all in the past.
And then the G5 governors factor?
I liken it to a civil war, while what is going on in APC today is a world war. You have a party attacking its own party policies, attacking its own president, disparaging it, taking his own president to court, his own government to court. That's a world war. In our party, it's a family affair. And you can see a few days ago, when Atiku Abubakar went to Enugu, he was still received by the governor, despite the fact that he's a member of G5. Look, let me tell you.
Why is your rally? Why is your rally in Rivers State at this point still undecided? I do know that you're having a stakeholders meeting for River State's delegates, or rather stakeholders in Abuja for tomorrow. What is the decision on River State, your rally for River State?
I'm sure you are aware that River State in the last couple of weeks have been prone to bloodbath. Atiku Abubakar, if he goes to Rivers, will be well protected. But what about the ordinary man on the street? If just one soul is lost, then that it's the news that will dominate everywhere till the election. So we decided that no blood is worth shedding for a candidate. So rather than go there and get injured or get killed, we decided to have a change of strategy. We know that Rivers is PDP and PDP is Rivers. PDP is in the DNA of Rivers, and I can assure you that next week, as always, Rivers will deliver to Atiku Abubakar and Ifeanyi Okowa.
If it is possible, I wanted us to talk a bit about the economy, especially how an Atiku presidency would, be able to turn the tide of depleting funds, through whether internally or externally generated revenue to have a balanced budget. I also wanted to quickly talk about the issue of developing capacities or creating equal opportunities for Nigerians. I don't know if you'll be able to take that, maybe just put that together in 60 seconds, basically.
On the issue of the economy,
yes.
I've told you experience is the best teacher. Here was a man who was the chairman of the Economic Council from 1999 to 2003, then 2003 to 2007. He did it with Baba Obasanjo, President Olusegun Obasanjo at the time, and everybody remembers how robust our economy became at the time. You must give credit to him. That is a man who has done it in his private capacity. He has been able to run successful businesses, unlike most politicians who are career politicians, who just live on politics. He has been able to manage his life successfully. You look at his family, you look at his children, you will see that God has blessed them with that Midas touch. So Atiku Abubakar, as president, will be able to translate this into action. A lot of politicians don't even know what to do because they've never managed any business. But Atiku Abubakar is a man with that Midas touch, and we're looking forward to Nigeria recovering very, very fast under his presidency.
I hear you, and I hear you clearly, but time now to move along and look at some identified national targets gleaned from public opinion. That's in the next segment of our program, which we call Ticking the Boxes. We will present you with some key national targets and 3 options to choose from, and you would decide on these options whether or not they are feasible and if it aligns with your view or that of your party. Ticking the Boxes is up next. A quick reminder that the targets in the boxes are mostly public policy issues, and our guests will choose options that hint on the viability of these targets as they align with his party's position. These targets are to be gauged within a timeline of 4 years, which amounts to the first term in office of an elected president. We begin with the first target in the box, a balanced budget. Basharu, if you just look to the screen, you would see there are 3 options there for you. Do you think having a balanced budget is something an Atiku presidency would be able to realize in 4 years? Is that a realistic target? Is that an unrealistic target? Is your party undecided on the matter?
It is very realistic.
So we'll take realistic there. We'll move on very quickly to the second target, to end water scarcity in Nigeria. This is a germane issue. This is one that most of the candidates, participating or contesting in this election have talked about. Do you think this is a realistic target for an Atiku presidency? Do you think it's an unrealistic one? Are you undecided?
For a man with his wealth of experience,
It is achievable, you say?
Very, very.
So we'll go with realistic there as well. So number 3 on the box is substantially mitigate flood disasters in Nigeria. I mean, this is expansive. It may not, I mean, I know it may take a lot, but do you think it's something Atiku can achieve in the first 4 years of his administration?
Yes, he has spoken copiously about what he will be able to do about damming and making sure that we can prevent the perennial.
And is mitigating flood disaster one of such targets?
Oh, it's very, very realistic.
Very realistic in 4 years?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't forget, he has been in power for 8 years. 8 years. So whatever they couldn't do then, he has had enough time now to study the environment, and he knows what to do.
So let's quickly move to the last one now. Food sufficiency. Is this a realistic target? Unrealistic target is good. Are you undecided on this matter?
In fact, for me, I think that will be his greatest plus, because he knows that if you take food out of poverty, poverty will disappear.
All right, then. In that case, it's 4 for 4. I'd like to thank you very much for tonight, Director of Strategic Communications of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, Basharu Dele Momodu. Thank you so much for coming on the ballot.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Well, that's it for, just the first part. Next, I will be speaking with a candidate from another party with a slight touch of nostalgia. My guest will be seated and ready when we return from the break. The Nigerian electoral system is seemingly simple, yet may be complicated for some.
It's for them to come and tell us what they have.
Running an election is equivalent to what? A job application.
I want him to identify the issues plaguing the common Nigerians.
PDP should focus on PDP and APC should focus on APC.
Let's show you what an election is all about as Nigerians pick the next president, governors and legislators. We interrogate their plans, question the rationale and review the prospects. Join us on the ballot.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve their sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Oh boy, this one where I read, you carry machete, you see carry gun, wetin you want take am do sef?
As I dey para like this, I don't vex.
Oh boy, calm down down now.
Like this, I dey go scatter those businesses. You know, say they scatter our people businesses, You don't see them. See, I dey go there, as I dey go like, and they go show them better craze. They never see anything.
If you destroy their own for here, and they destroy your people own for that side, especially that your brother where they send you money, that way don't block, oh. How you go take survive?
See, this way talk not true, but I see the vex.
Boy, calm down. Make we embrace peace. We peace and unity. Everybody.
My people, make we gum body with peace and unity. Make we learn to live as brothers and sisters, so that we country go fit move go permanent side. This message now from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
My next guest is of the People's Redemption Party, PRP, and he is the vice presidential candidate of the party in this year's election. He's Aro Zego, a gentleman by the look of him. Now, a quick reminder that the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party, PRP, is Abiola Latifu Kolawole. But anyway, since it is a joint ticket, I am sure both my guest and his principal are like minds, and on that basis, I'd like to welcome him to the ballot. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I am tempted to delve into the rationale for the PRP's unique selling proposition as a party wishing to clinch power and perhaps drive a change process that would improve the well-being of Nigerians generally. I mean, at the end of the day, that is what all the 18 contending parties for the presidency are saying. But you know what? Rather than do that, I'll ask you a simpler and more topical question. But I need an elaborate answer. You know, we are currently faced with an economic situation which looks like we may be drenched in either demand or cost pull inflation arising from the prevailing cash crunch resulting from a combination of the CBN's cashless policy and Naira redesign. I am sure you've heard the president, or you listened or watched the president's analysis of the situation this morning. Reel out to me your plan when it comes to, one, increasing the banking eco space to accommodate more unbanked Nigerians whilst moderating the cash in circulation in a manner that doesn't result to inflation either through the demand or cost pull dimension.
Okay, thank you very much. Your first question says
managing the economy, basically. We might be in the straits, but if you were president or your principal and you become president, how would you have managed a situation like that?
Oh, you see, the problem with Nigeria, the system today is what do you call it? You were talking more about how do I get to include the
unbanked Nigerians, yes.
Nigerians into the system. Well, the thing is, Nigeria has about 60% informal sector, the people who trade, the small-scale business people are unbanked, and there's a reason for that.
Okay.
The reason is simple. Why should I need my money on a daily basis, and why should I put it in a bank, and a banking financial institution whereby I get charges every day? I don't get the money when I want it. And
so the people do not trust the system?
Oh no, the people do not trust the system. The system is flawed. People do not trust the system. So why should I put my money in a bank that I don't trust and I don't get my money's worth when I come for it? So what do we do for that and that? Now you need to get more people into the financial space. How do you do that? That's one of the reasons why we talk about COLA. It is cost of living adjustment, which we would love to.
COLA.
Yes, COLA. Cost of living adjustment.
I get that.
Is a system which we means test to families, and to find out what will actually sustain a family. And a family here is based on what we know as a family in Nigeria. Family unit is 2 plus 4. Yeah, 2 plus 4. So what will be the basic amount of funds a family of 4 needs to survive? The minimum wage, as we know, is about 30,000 naira. So do we think 30,000 naira is good enough? And I dare say no, it is not good enough. It's not a living wage.
But you think increasing minimum wage would...
No, I did not say increase minimum wage. Cost of living adjustment.
Oh, okay.
Now, you means test families. That means you means test what is the income of the husband or the income of the wife. What is the gap shortfall? If, for instance, you mean 70% should be, 70,000 should be the minimum the family needs to survive in a month. Okay. And what is the gap shortfall? And from that shortfall, government now adjusts it, makes a living adjustment for them. As instead of a subsidy on, let's say, petroleum, that is where you subsidize the living standards of every Nigerian. That way, because you're doing that, you get people, and you do that to less able families. Those are who are earning below that bracket. And if you do that, that means those payments go through the financial institution.
Okay.
So naturally, you get them into the financial space. Yes.
That's how you capture them.
Yeah,
well,
capture
okay. now let's talk about the rationale of your party, I mean, attempting to clinch power and thinking it is special, so much special that Nigerians would embrace the party and make you and your principal leaders of this free world, the one we call Nigeria.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I believe my party is special. Why is it special? Because this party has 44 years and has never changed from what its ideals are and its basic principles, which are the value and equality of each and every one of us. Power belongs to the people, state control of the commanding heights of the economy, true federalism, and we stand fully against any form of imperialism in any form. So we have always been that, and that is what every party says it wants to be. And why do we think we should clinch power? Because there are millions of ordinary Nigerians who are forgotten, who are not valued by the system, who have suffered in the past 22, 24 odd years, and they need a government that understands them, knows their cry. And I will dare say that Aminu Kano started, the people like Aminu Kano, when they started this party, they started it to emancipate the common man. They started this party to emancipate and make him equal in the eyes of God and in the eyes of man and the law.
You think the PRP is still in that place where it has this affinity with the ordinary Nigeria?
You just need to go out there and find out and ask the common man. When you meet the common man, anyone above the age of 30 to 40, and you ask him, what really brought you out? What made you recognizable as an India? A true citizen in this country? And he'll tell you it's the PRP, of course, especially in the north. When you look at the fact that PRP came and gave free education, supported girl child education, quashed unreasonable taxes for us in the southern parts, or in some parts like southern parts of Kaduna. It stopped us from taking taxes to Zaria. It helps abolish that. And it gave rights to the common man. And you look at it today. Who is holding power today that did not come from humble beginnings? Before now, you ought to be a child of somebody before you are somebody. But today, before now, in a few years after this party came into being, a lot of people got the opportunity to become somebody in this country.
So people like Aminu Kano paved the way.
Oh, definitely he did.
So you just referenced Kaduna seconds ago. So I take it, I get it if I'm not mistaken, that Kaduna is your home state.
Yes, it is.
And in fact, you're from southern Kaduna, if I recall.
Yes, I am.
So that means you should understand the imperatives for security. Seeing that Kaduna is one of course, other states affected by insecurity. Well, the Kaduna, Benue and a few other states have been affected by insecurity. So tell me, in the broad plan of things, and if I recall also, your principal did say some time ago that if given the mandate and opportunity, he would resolve Nigeria's security challenges in 6 months. I don't get it. That magic wand that the PRP seemed to have, why has it eluded other governments for this long, for decades, as a matter of fact?
You see, in life, the wheel has been invented. You don't reinvent that wheel. You can never do that. There's a constitution, there's a procedure for doing things that we ought to follow. We do not do that. You see, a situation whereby you want people come here and tell you, oh, we need to increase the number of boots on ground. We need to do this. And do you have the infrastructure to take that? Are you going to have infrastructure ready to accommodate those new boots on ground that you're talking about? When the boots on ground today are not accommodated, their welfare is nowhere. We're nowhere near where it should be. Equipment's lacking. And then you want to increase these numbers. Are you serious? No, I don't think so. But you see, what you have is you have enough boots on ground. Those boots, you have enough in the armed forces, about 230,000 thereabouts. You have in the police about 320. You have the civil defense. You have the immigration services. You have so many security agencies. All you need to do, sir, is make sure they work together in synergy. And that can only be done if you have a very robust National Security Council, which works as the law says it should work. Yes, sir.
Can you perhaps elaborate a bit more on that? Because, I mean, you've just hit on the point that I noticed your party has said from point to point about the nation's security architecture not being, or rather the government not following the security architecture. Yes, successive governments not following the security architecture as provided by law or the Constitution. I mean, what exactly is the PRP saying, in terms of that?
If you go and check the makeup of what constitutes the National Security Council, it is meant to be the president who chairs that council, the vice president, the chief of defense staff, the chief of the Minister of Defense, the NSA, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Internal Affairs, the police IG, and one other subject matter expert. That to say, one as the president would choose, but I believe that should be a subject matter expert on anything that is the problem at that time. Now, the reason for that is that you need a concise and robust team that can take decisions quickly and on the go. But they have to have enough information that filters to them. So let me use the armed forces for an example. As an example, the armed forces. Now you have the chief of defense staff in the council. That chief of defense staff is supposed to have sat down with his chiefs of Army, Navy, and the Air Force and deliberated on the security issues of all arms of the military, of the armed forces, and then come with a concise report to the president. But no, we have a situation where we have the chief of defense staff, the chief of army staff, the chief of naval staff, and the chief of air staff. All four in one seat, coming to a National Security Council meeting. Now, would you say that one of these chiefs will, if you are put in front of a president, everyone wants to shine. Would you say that he will divulge information that he should to his chief of defense staff? He will keep some and he will want to come and shine. But you see, if they had sat together and come with it, so you see, it wastes time. A council that should be about 9 people becomes about 30 people. 30 people now start talking in turns. You get tired, there's fatigue. You are not robust and agile enough to do what you need to do. So those are the issues where we always happen now.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I wanted you to land on that because I wanted you to help me simplify.
Simplification.
Yes. No, but let me
it's
create.
About too many cooks spoil the broth.
No, let me create a scenario and then ask you to give me an example of how to resolve an issue like that. So I'll make this a bit simpler, on all these whole security matter, and take, a specific example: the farmers' headers crisis in Nigeria. Again, Kaduna, your home state is in focus. Of course, there are other states across the south, the north, central, and south, east. Give me an idea of how best to identify the underlying cause of a crisis like that, and then the best approach capable of evolving a sustainable resolution, of that challenge, farmers' headers conflict.
Okay, farmers' headers conflict. I think we must go back a few years, a lot of years back, the years whereby the traditional ruler in every community was responsible for whoever comes to that community. That means in a community where there's a farmer who is a local settled there in the community, it's known by the traditional ruler, and now you have a herdsman who comes into the community. Before he has anything comes into that community, or as he comes, he must report to the chief and say, I am here, this is who I am, this is where I come from, and this is my purpose in this community. Now, in those days, we used to have that done, but subsequently it's moved into, oh, he's my brother, he speaks my language, so there's no, he comes in, I don't even know where he comes from, but I just accept him in. We don't do that. So you see, security is about me and you. It's about, it's a community thing. We need to work together to make sure we secure our neighbors, and that is where we start getting it wrong. We need to work together to solve our security problems. And if we start from it, because in security matters, information is a very big currency, and that information needs to get out. And you see, a lot of times, even there's this distrust of the security agents, because you take information to them and they give it out.
Well, you seem to have outlined the reactionary measures in resolving the issue, but you failed to identify, or rather you failed to speak to the issue of identifying the underlying issues, because I want to think there are underlying issues to farmers-herders conflict. And I'll give you an example. Land. Grazing land, for instance. Some we know that in the past, places that were allotted or designated as grazing routes have been overtaken by farms, or building developments have overtaken some of them. And so this has exacerbated the crisis and has caused conflict, sometimes between herders and farmers, sometimes between herders and other community members. So in resolving such an issue, if your government was to come to power, how would you resolve it? That's the question.
If you know anything about cattle and rearing cattle and the quality of meat you get and what you should do, you should know that moving cattle around is not the best way, and you don't get the best pricing for your cattle and your meat. Because for you to get good quality meat, the cattle needs to stay in one place and needs to be tested to be sure that there is nothing that is in the systems. Now, the best way to do that is by ranching, or keeping cattle in one place.
Ranching.
Have successive governments thought of that, and have they done anything about that? And that is what is causing the clashes, because you have someone who will just move from place to place and think he believes he has the right. Of course, even if there were cattle routes before, the population is exploding. You can't say, because
naturally there will be development.
Of course, the cattle routes were someone's ancestral home. So it was taken from him. Now he has grown to a certain number, a certain size. He needs more space.
Okay, so I just wanted to create a scenario and see how you approach it. I mean, if you were commander-in-chief, or your principal were to become commander-in-chief. But of course, if that were to happen, there will be opportunities for you as vice president to act sometime as president as well. Let's quickly move on and look at some, I know we have various provisions of law that seek to entrench equal opportunities for all. There's also the issue of the distribution of national wealth, and laws to create, that sense of belonging, for all Nigerians. How do we tackle the issues that continue to inhibit our chances of equal opportunities, of course, in spite of these existing laws that we've talked about? This is where I often talk about, or raise the issue, the argument about patriotism not necessarily latent on leadership, and that a people deserve the kind of leaders that they get. Do you agree with my logic, or perhaps you want to rearrange that my argument? Do people really deserve the kind of leaders that they get? And is part of our problem a function of bad followership or just bad leadership, in your opinion?
A leader wants the best of his followers. He doesn't want to manipulate his followers. He wants to lead people who will in turn be also leaders who lead other people. So I think it's a problem of bad leadership. So,
Just bad leadership? You don't think that we as a people were part of the problem?
oh, well, you learn from your parents. You, as a child, you learn from your parents.
Do leaders not emerge from amongst the people?
Oh, leaders emerge from the people, but there are certain reasons why leaders emerge from the people. There are some, when you talk about weaponizing poverty and you make people so poor that they have no option but to choose you to lead, then there's a problem there. So leaders do emerge from the people. Yes, the people have lost some moral compasses in some areas, but in some instances. But where did it start from? Nigeria is just one good leader from being a great country. I can give you an example. When the present president came into office, based on his antecedents, everybody sat up. For the first few months he was president, thinking this is the way he's going to run the show. No, that is one leader. Made everybody sit up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me quickly rush you along here. Your party is boasting that they will repeat the 1993 electoral feats of MKO Abiola. By the way, the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, may be quick to argue that with you because he feels it's quite more embedded with the 1993 Hope philosophy. I'm sure you have your reasons for your belief. Do you want to share that with us? I mean, the rationale for thinking that PRP can equal or surpass MKO's electoral feats of 1993?
Oh, well, I would ask you is where is Nigeria today and where was it in
I'm actually asking you.
No. But okay, I would say where is Nigeria today and where was it in 1993? I think Nigeria is worse off today than it was in 1993. Are you getting it?
Okay.
So now, what am I saying? Essentially, I'm saying we have more of the common man is more pained, is feels much more neglected.
So that is why the PRP thinks it will surpass MKO Abiola's feats of 1993.
Yeah, because why would we surpass that? I think another thing I will tell you is that we have a president today who from 2003 had supporters in numbering up to 12 million. Those supporters are the ordinary Nigerians who felt they had been shortchanged by the system, and they continue to support him, not because he was a man who was given to giving out money, giving money for votes, or neither was he an astute per se politician that does the same thing the politicians do.
Okay.
But he had 12 million.
Okay.
Okay. And the situation is
okay, so let's leave that argument there because we're actually out of time. My director is in my ear. I actually need to move along real quick. So now I'll just take you to the last segment of tonight's program, Ticking the Boxes, where you will be presented with the same set of targets that we used earlier and made to choose from 3 options that either reflect your view or that of your principal on the feasibility of the target. Ticking the Boxes is coming right up. Again, these are the same targets we presented earlier. Let's find out if our guests will vary in terms of their feasibility within a time frame of 4 years. We'll begin now with the first target in the box, a balanced budget. Do you think this is a realistic goal for a Kola Abiola presidency within 4 years? Is it? Can you balance the budget? I mean, that way there will be no budget deficits anymore within 4 years of your administration. Is that realistic? Is that an unrealistic target? Are you at this moment undecided on this target?
No, I'm decided it's a realistic target. That's
so we go with realistic there. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the very next target, and water scarcity. I mean, like I asked my previous guest, this is an issue that is quite germane to us as a people. Access to potable drinking water, water pollution, and all of that. Ending that in 4 years, do you think there's a target that is realistic or unrealistic? Are you undecided on the matter?
I think I would say that is quite realistic.
Okay, so realistic again it is. And then we go to target number 3, substantially mitigate flood. I'm pretty sure you're aware of what transpired in 2022 across Nigeria in states like Adamawa, Kogi, Anambra, Benue, and some other states where lives were lost and properties worth millions also, lost to ravaging flood. I mean, in mitigating this disaster, we are looking at a situation where an Abiola presidency will be able to substantially mitigate flooding, so much that we would have very little fatality. Is that possible for your presidency if you take on power? Is that a realistic goal? Is that an unrealistic goal? Are you undecided on the matter?
It's unrealistic.
Unrealistic?
Yes.
Unrealistic in 4 years,
Yeah.
it is. Why do you say that? You don't think it's something that can be achieved within 4 years? Well,
to achieve that is a big infrastructural project.
Okay.
You can't do it in 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I get that totally. I get that totally. Let's quickly move you along to the 4th and final target on the box, on the table there, food sufficiency. Of course, I'm sure you're aware of the food inflation, low productivity, and all of that. These are factors exacerbated by insecurity and a couple of other issues as well. But do you think this is an issue that Abiola presidency can reverse and cause so that we can have food sufficiency in Nigeria within 4 years? Is that a realistic goal? Is that an unrealistic goal? Are you undecided on the matter?
On that matter, I would have asked you to define it a bit better, but as much as I would say it is realistic, I would go with unrealistic, because there's a lot of work to do there to make it realistic.
Okay.
And if you are trying to hit
so food sufficiency may not be realistic in 4 years. I mean, and I get that it's a tough one. I mean, you might need to put certain things in place. Taking root, I beg your pardon, in 4 years might be difficult. So we'll go with unrealistic there for you, like you've just inferred. I'd like to thank you so much for tonight, the vice presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party, PROP, Zego. Thank you so much for coming on the ballot. And of course, we do wish the NTA, on behalf of the NTA, I would like to wish you and your principal well in your campaign.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
We're officially at 8 days in our countdown to the next set of national elections. Soon we will be counting down to just hours and maybe minutes. One thing is clear, election day is getting closer by the day, and I hope you are getting ready. Tomorrow's edition of the ballot may be somewhat special. We just might be bringing you latest and newest election program, National Conversation. Well, just keep your fingers crossed. My name is Nnamdi Odikwo, and it's been a delightful night so far. I hope to see you again quite soon. Bye for now.